Okay, good morning. And I want to make a short video comparing these three resources. Um, First, let me tell you what I have, and then we'll get into the particularities of each one because they're actually complementary, and some of them have their particularities help them to be very distinct study resources, and they complement the shortcomings of one another. So the first thing I have here is the Thomas Nelson published Orthodox Study Bible. This is a hardback edition. Here you have Holy Bible, Orthodox Study Edition, and Thomas Nelson. Here I have the Bible and the Holy Fathers by St. Vladimir Seminary Press. And lastly, I have here in the hardback as well, the Christian Standard Bible, and this is the Ancient Faith Study Edition, which you can see here. So why do I have these three? And let's first of all, I have to tell you, I'm an Orthodox Christian, and so biblical resources are a little difficult to come by because we don't necessarily publish them as much as Protestant or Catholic editorials. But here we go. So let's begin with the Orthodox Study Bible, what it is and what it's not, and why it kind of proved a disappointment for a lot of people. So here we have the title page, Orthodox Study Bible, and this one is, of course, the Saint Athanasius Academy Septuagint, and then the New King James in the New Testament. So, of course, this is going to have the entire canon, what we Orthodox Christians consider to be the entire canon, and here you have a listing of all of the books. Now, when this one came out, a lot of people were very, very excited because, us Orthodox are finally going to get a study edition of what the Fathers say, and that's not what it is. So when you go to the actual text, of course, some pages have more notes than others, but let's actually do a comparative passage on this one and then on the Orthodox Study Bible. And so this is very recurring scriptural passage. Orthodox Christians are going to pray this every day, okay, which is Psalm 50 according to the Septuagint and 51 according to the Masoretic. What you have here in the note is first more of an interpretational passage, and it doesn't say who wrote this. And then it gives you a liturgical passage. It says Psalm 50 is used daily in the services of Orthros, the third hour in Compline, and is also recited every divine liturgy by the priest that he census before the great entrance. When you look at almost all, if not all, Orthodox prayer rules, they're going to have this psalm at the beginning. So as you can see, that note is actually very short, and it tells you how it connects to the life of the church. So it's not a patristic commentary, it's more of a pastoral commentary. And then on the other side, you have, again, connection to other parts of the Bible, and it gives almost a liturgical and creedal note. And that's it. It doesn't really go into anything further. Whereas in the Christian Standard Bible, and I was just looking at this for my morning devotion. Also, you can tell the paper is very different. This is yellowish, and then this is white. It has four notes, particularly in Psalm. In this case, it's only going to say Psalm 51 because this is following the Masoretic. And this one has notes by St. John Chrysostom, St. Augustine, the Venerable Bede, and St. Gregory the Theologian. It says Gregory of Nazianzus there. We know that to be St. Gregory the Theologian, who wrote the orations. And so these notes are actually more theological notes from various holy fathers of the church. Of course, we know that St. John Chrysostom and St. Augustine are two of the most wide-read commentators of the book of Psalms. And this one comes from the Epistle to the Hebrews by St. John Chrysostom. It's a commentary tying in both. And then from St. Augustine, from his 170th sermon. Bede also connects it to the homilies on the Gospels, and then St. Gregory, the theologian, in the theological orations. So the difference in the notes and why this is a very valuable resource for Orthodox Christians is that the notes on the Orthodox Study Bible are a little bit more pastoral. You could even call them life application notes. And again, a lot of the time they're just going to say where in the liturgy you can find these elements. Okay, so it's a very good resource, but I think a lot of Orthodox Christians thought that what this was going to be was a Bible with a patristic commentary. It is not. It does have patristic commentary every now and then. Now, this one has patristic commentary. Of course, the downside is that this one, the Orthodox Study Bible, is particular to our view of Scripture. It's within our faith tradition and community, so we're looking at it with what we call the phronima, so the mind of the church. This one, of course, comes from a Baptist publisher, and I was looking at where the notes come from, and it's from a very big and very important patristic collection that was done by an ecumenical effort. So it tries to be unbiased, but of course on pet doctrines that differ between Protestantism and Orthodoxy. Usually there's a silence in the notes. Albeit it's a very, very good resource because you do have enough commentary from a breadth of church fathers. And something that I was just looking at, and it's wonderful because it's a very, very difficult commentary to come by, is in the book of Revelation. Most of the comments, I mean, of course, you have from St. Victorinus and St. Apringius, but most of it comes from St. Andrew of Caesarea, which is a wonderful commentary, and it's a typical patristic commentary on Revelation. So the shortcomings of this one is that in trying to be an ecumenical Bible, it is not approached with an Orthodox phronima. So you still have to filter a lot of the notes through this aforementioned Orthodox mindset, and this is where the Orthodox Study Bible is going to help. When you compare the notes, you might find, for example, the most quoted father from this is St. Augustine. And of course, St. Augustine is a little bit contentious in Orthodoxy. We do consider him a saint, but some of his writings don't fall within what we call the consensus patrum. That's a consensus of the fathers. So usually an Orthodox Christian is going to turn a little bit more to a commentary, say, by St. John Chrysostom, than they might one by St. Augustine. Now, the commentary is very, very good, but again, you must filter it as an Orthodox Christian through the life of the church, and that happens liturgically. And that's where this one comes from, the Bible and the Holy Fathers. Now, before we get into it, I want to show you the difference in size. This is a complete Bible. This is a lectionary. And then the size, just the font, and this one is ridiculously small. But Yeah, so it's not the most readable thing, and of course you wouldn't really be carrying this anywhere. This is more of a study resource, and I can see this being, for example, behind the iconostasis in an Orthodox church, like as an altar resource. Maybe if one of the fathers gives a lot of homilies, but yeah, we wouldn't really use this, like in church. Of course, if you are not if you're not Orthodox, you will find it strange. We usually don't carry our Bibles to church. We usually will carry like a New Testament commentary, but that's about it. So what about this one? Well, this one also is the New King James. Okay, let me turn to where we're actually at right now, which is second week of Pentecost. Of course, this is according to the according to the Orthodox lectionary. So Sunday of All Saints, that already happened. That was last week. So yesterday was the second Sunday of Pentecost, and this is the third week after Pentecost. So what you have in this one is the text. This is the actual font for the New Testament, so it's tiny. We're in Romans 7. And so what you have is you have the biblical text in this, again, tiny font, and then you have the commentary on the passage. Now, I've gone through the last 3 weeks with this one. I've only had it for a couple of weeks. And most of the commentary comes from St. John Chrysostom. It does have writings from other church fathers. Just a few days ago, there was one by St. Simon, the New Theologian. So he was a theologian from the 9th century. And then there was a commentary from St. Maximus the Confessor, who was from the usually put into the 7th and 8th century, so it's a little bit later. But most of it is from St. John Chrysostom. Now, what's the difference between this commentary and this commentary? This commentary is completely exegetical. He is interpreting the passage. So how do you complement these three? And what are the main differences? Well, the main differences is this one, the Orthodox Study Bible, is far more pastoral. It tells you how we interpret that passage in our life, in our prayer life, in the liturgical life of the church, how we think about that passage as an Orthodox Christian. Then the Christian Standard Ancient Faith Study Bible gives you an unfiltered patristic commentary, so it's far more theological. And it, of course, doesn't presume an interpretation. We presume the interpretation from the fathers according to the Orthodox Phronima. So this is an unfiltered commentary Bible. And then this one, not only does it have the readings arranged according to how we would use them in a day-to-day basis, but it's more exegetical, so it's more interpreting that single passage. Okay, sometimes it goes into textual issues, into textual comparative issues. Especially St. John Chrysostom and the Cappadocian Fathers were big on comparing Scripture with Scripture, and that's where they get a lot of the examples when they're exegeting any particular passage. So it's not a theological commentary; it's an exegetical commentary. So I just wanted to do this really quick video and quick review based on these three resources that I have. Of course, these are not the only ones. There are many more valuable resources, such as the ACCS Full Patristic Commentary, but that's a 28-volume set. And of course, the Holy Apostles Convent Psalms and New Testament with a patristic commentary, which probably goes into a little bit more depth than this one and is a little bit more, I don't want to say careful, I'm going to say biased towards orthodoxy with the commentary that it uses. Now, I just want to comment really quickly on the construction. Yes, these three are hardbacks. I wasn't a big hardback fan. until I actually got these. Although this one is kind of like a leather touch, and then these are more cloth touch. Of course, the Orthodox Study Bible and the Bible and the Holy Fathers are not gilded. It's just going to be plain white paper. And again, they share the same translation for the New Testament. It's New King James. This one, I have to say, it's a beautifully constructed Bible. And I appreciate more Protestants, because it is a Protestant effort, going into the church fathers and the writings of the early church. For us, it's not about them telling us how to be Christians. It's us asking the question, are we in the same church as these people? And that's where we get our Orthodox presupposition from. Now, I recommend these three? Yes, of course I do. Although this one in the middle particularly might not be maybe the most pastoral book for people who simply have begun reading the Bible. And I was just listening to Father Josiah Trenum say something very, very important. And it's that Orthodox Christians don't read the Bible enough. And he said, well, by that we can mean two things. We hear and read the Bible more than anyone else within Christianity within liturgics. So what on this side. But on our personal devotion and our private devotion time, we need to read the Bible more. We definitely don't. We go with the prayers. We assume Psalm 50, 51 is the only thing we ever have to do, and kind of that's it. So these three are very good resources for those who want a Bible that will tell them what the Bible is about within the Orthodox Church. This is the best option. It is very good. Again, the criticisms leveled against it for not being a patristic commentary Bible, I think, they're completely unfair. That was never the intention of the Orthodox Study Bible. There is patristic commentary that we can get from elsewhere. Now, if what you want is a patristic commentary, go with this one. It's a very well-built Bible, very high quality. It's relatively inexpensive. I really appreciate that by Holman, I guess the publishers of this edition. Okay. And if you need the resources for more of a homiletical approach or understanding the Bible, how the church fathers would interpret it, then of course this is the one. They're very different. I don't recommend one over another. I don't choose one over another. I use all three. This is my daily devotional for the Bible and the Holy Fathers, and then I will use this one and this one as points of comparison, of course, because of the notes and the readings and the CSB. Of course, the CSB is far more on the optimal equivalent side than the NKJV. The NKJV is a very, very literal Bible. Of course, it's a very reverent English. It's a very beautiful English, but the CSB is very insightful, and I think it's a great translation. And as Orthodox Christians, we have very limited Bible translations into English. We have the Eastern Orthodox Bible, and we have the Holy Apostles Convent translation, which essentially is a reworked King James. So we shouldn't be afraid, as Orthodox Christians, of both Protestant and Catholic Bible translations, and the CSB is really good. So that's my take on these three resources, how I kind of use them a little bit, the differences and the similarities, and I hope this is helpful for you. Thank you very much, and God bless.